Getting out of debt takes time, energy, and honestly, it's exhausting. First step is the most important because it takes back your power. The very first thing is you're going to start with your mindset. I've never heard anyone talk about this as the first step to a debt payoff. I do believe that it's the most important step. We're going to start this process with gratitude. And you know why? Because when we do something as big as debt payoff, we do so with intention. There's a purpose, there's a drive behind that. And we start with empowerment. We get to be intentional, we get to be creative, we get to be resilient, we get to have tools that work for us to help us get through this journey. When I first started my debt-free journey, I was so miserable. I felt so deprived. I wish that I had started with empowerment. I remember crying to my mom and just telling her, I think this process is going to last forever. Be really proud of yourself that you're starting such a difficult thing. I went from $70,000 at my highest. Now I'm just about debt free. I have $7,000 left and that's going to be paid off by May next year. I have a retirement account, investments, a Roth IRA, savings, emergency fund, a house down payment. There is a life on the other side of this. You just have to get through the process. And you have to be really empowered. Debt is a tool, but let's get you out of it. The very second thing is you're going to lay everything out. You're going to grab every loan, every statement, every credit card bill. You're going to lay out everything in front of you because you need to see the big picture. You need to have a starting line. Grab a notebook, open a spreadsheet, use an app. It doesn't really matter what you do, but you're going to write everything down. And I'll tell you what to write in just a minute. Look at all my camera gear. I brought all this gear and I forgot to bring my camera. So I'm using my phone. I have my laptop with my script, my lighting. It's where I was sitting. Oh my gosh. Thanks for having some patience with me. And you're going to do this process without shame because that debt helped you get this far in life. So it has benefited you in some way. We're going to thank the debt and we're going to let it go because it's no longer serving us in this next chapter of our lives. I'm in debt for a very personal reason. I had a very tragic situation happen to me a few years ago that I'm still working through. I don't feel guilty about the debt that I am in or that I have to pay things off again because life happens and that's why I don't want you to beat yourself up over things. This is about getting to work. I want you to write 5 different columns. In the first column, I want you to have the name of that debt. So it's a credit card or it's a loan. You can name it whatever you want, but you need to be able to identify it. In the second column, you're going to write down the total balance that you owe. In the third column, you're going to write down the monthly payment. In the fourth column, you're going to add the interest payment for each of those. And in the last column, you're going to write down the interest rate. At the very bottom, add everything up. In your column 2, you're going to add up your total balance that you owe overall, and then do the same for anything with a dollar balance. You're going to add up the totals. So when you see that big number, you're going to be tempted to be nervous and scared, but I'm going to encourage you to look at it as your clarity. You know where you need to start. The total amount is your finish line. That's giving you clarity. That's the shift in the feelings that I want you to have looking at that total number. This step is really interesting, but I want you to actually get really mad. I want you to look at that total and I want you to get really upset because you have borrowed money from the bank, your credit cards, and the interest rate that you're paying, I feel like, is theft. They're taking your hard-earned money and telling you that this is just a normal way of life. I want you to physically feel what it's like to be in what I call a financial prison. This is what you were taught. Get a loan and you get into credit card debt and then it's just a normal thing. It takes your emergency fund, your financial peace, your future trips you want to go on. It steals from your future house that you want to buy. It steals from your future children and their lives, your retirement. It steals from everything. The things that you actually want to spend your money on, you are having to pay even more than you spent because of that interest rate. Oh, my nose is itchy. The interest that you're paying is a penalty for having to borrow. This is why it's so hard for people to get ahead because you get stuck in these money traps. Get mad at the system. Don't be mad at yourself. It wasn't your fault, but it is your responsibility to get out of debt. That fire that you feel inside, use that for your fuel to help push you forward and drive you into the next step. Honestly, this is something that I still struggle with, and it's something that I'm probably going to have to keep working through, but I do feel a sense of regret. These thoughts come up in my head. I tell myself, I wish I was further ahead in life. If I didn't get into debt, I would be ahead. I would have X amount of dollars. I would be X amount richer. I was telling my husband about this and he said, you know, you have gone through your journey the way you were supposed to. And I do believe that everything you go through, you were meant to go through, even the unfortunate things, because it teaches you lessons, which really sucks, but it's just things you have to learn that your soul has to learn. That's why I've created this channel, because I had to struggle so much and because I had to go through a lot of things by myself and feeling so bad where I'm like, I don't want people to have to go through this and feel alone and not know what to do. Please do me a favor, if you're enjoying this video, hit like and subscribe. It really helps my channel. Thanks so much. The next step is you're going to pick one of two methods. There's a snowball method. You're going to pay off your lowest balance first. It gives you a quick win and it helps you feel really motivated. Now, the second thing you can do is the avalanche method. This is the most cost-effective method, and the reason is because you're actually going to be targeting the highest interest because your debt is costing you money. So the higher the interest, the more money that you're spending on repaying that balance. You can do either of those two methods. The point is that you at least pick one and just start moving forward. I actually did both methods. I needed to start with a quick win. I took the lowest balance credit card that I had and I just paid that off. Once you pay that off, you're going to take whatever payment you were paying towards that first one and add it to the next one. It will become faster and faster to pay off that debt. In the meantime, the other items, you're just going to pay the minimum balance. Again, there's no wrong choice. The only wrong choice is not picking anything. I'm not going to call it crazy, but I used what's called a balance transfer card. I ended up opening up a new credit card. I think they gave me like a $10,000 balance and I was able to transfer $9,000 at a time at a 0% interest rate or a really low interest rate versus the 25% that I was paying at the time. There is a strategy to it and you do have to be careful with it, and you have to make sure that you're not putting more charges on your credit cards as you're doing this process, because you can get into a lot of serious trouble if you do it incorrectly. If you are interested in learning how I use this method to get out of debt really quickly, check out this video here. The next step is really focusing on your debt payoff. So your new money mantra is that I live my life debt free. And your new favorite word is going to be no. Unfortunately, you're going to have to say no to a lot of things. You're going to have to say no to invitations, to dining out, to friends, and you're going to have to really buckle down. But you're saying yes to yourself, to your future, to being out of debt, and you're getting out of that financial prison. Honestly, it's going to take a couple of years depending on how much debt you have to pay off. Yes, you're going to feel left out of things sometimes. Yes, it's going to feel hard, but I guarantee you that once you're debt free, it feels so liberating and so freeing. It's like being able to breathe again. Here are some creative ways to feel fulfilled without spending a lot of money. Art museums, hikes with a good friend, cook really great dinners at home, community events, beautiful parks that you can go to, botanical gardens. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do for very low cost. The next step is tracking your progress. You can track it in your notebook, in an Excel spreadsheet, in an app. I just used my budget. Every single paycheck I could see what I was putting towards my bills, and I watched that number go from being really large to smaller and smaller and smaller, and finally paid off. And celebrate every milestone in a very financially conscious, affordable way so that you're not slipping back into old habits and not getting yourself back into debt. During my journey, I didn't build in celebrating my milestones, and I really wish that was something that I did. Here are some ideas you can do to celebrate your wins in an affordable and financially conscious way. You can make a DIY at home facial or spa day where you relax in the tub for a little while. Take the lights down, put out some candles, set the mood so that you feel like you're really rewarding yourself. Go on a walk in a beautiful park, find a nice spot, have a picnic with food that you've prepared from home, and journal. You can write down why you're so proud of yourself and how it feels to get to that milestone. You can call a friend and share with them how good you're doing. It really helps you keep going when you know that someone is actually patting you on the back, if you're not also doing that yourself, which you should. This one is actually really fun. I wish I created a life after debt vision board. Even if it was just taking screenshots on my phone, I would have had travel on my list. I would have had really good food, going to fun events like comedy shows or concerts. Reflect about how hard you've worked, and if you're sharing that with a friend, it's even better because then you can share your wins, your struggles, what you're going through, and the challenges that you're running into, because who knows, maybe they have some advice or maybe they've gone through that before themselves and they can actually help you along your journey, and you don't feel so alone, because it can actually feel like a really lonely process. I really enjoyed going on hikes with my friend throughout Hawaii without intentionally realizing that was part of my debt payoff journey, and it really helped me. And the last fun idea that I have, video record yourself, make a quick video and tell yourself how proud you are and what you're looking forward to and how you think you're doing, and then watch it at your next milestone. You're kind of encouraging yourself along the way. It is a long journey and it's going to take a lot of time to get through. You'll have to pace yourself and find ways along the journey to really make this a meaningful, joyful experience. The key to staying out of debt long-term is knowing your financial priorities. You need to figure out what matters the most to you and where you're going to put your money after you're done paying off your debt. You get to pay that money to yourself. You're going to want to watch this video next, because budgeting isn't about cutting lattes. Bye friends, I'll see you in the next one. Leave me a comment and let me know what part of this video resonated with you. If you're interested in getting on my waiting list, I have a Fearless Budget Blueprint almost done. It is a workbook to help ambitious women strategize and get confident with their money, from mindset to budgeting to priorities through retirement. You are not going to want to miss it.